I was really excited for Mac Brown's return to North Carolina, and so far he hasn't disappointed. Now, obviously, there are some things that maybe the fan base wishes would have been different, but this is still a team that's been much better since Brown's arrival. And we'll talk about 10 guys today that are going to make the 2023 season really exciting and potentially one of their better seasons if all goes well. You have talent on both sides of the ball. We'll start with the offense. A transfer they brought in this offseason was Devante Walker. The Kent State transfer comes in at 6'3", 200 pounds, and has already impressed this coaching staff. And someone who, in a talented group, a deep group of receivers, could take a step forward and be a big time playmaker for the Tar Heels this year. The passing attack will not take a step back. There are plenty of options. It's just a matter of who's going to be that go-to guy. Josh Downs is gone, so you need someone to step up, and maybe Walker is one of those guys. Another group that is deep is the running back position. Now, who you want in that group in this list, be my guest to pick one of them because I really there's five guys I like in this running back room. Omarion Hampton is just one of them. 6 feet, 220 pounds, a guy who has big playmaking ability. And it's just, again, a matter of touches because there's so many players that honestly, North Carolina might be the deepest offense in college football. Now, what does that mean in terms of their ceiling? We're not sure. You're going through a new coaching staff, like a new coaching change for offensive coordinator with Phil Longo leaving. What does that look like? Maybe they run the ball a little bit more, but again, there's so many guys that need to run the football or that they have returning, which it's another surprise that they didn't lose some of these players to the transfer portal. But Omarion Hampton is one of those guys who at his peak, he's an explosive weapon for this offense and a difference maker. And I think there's so many guys to talk about that I don't really have any arguments if you decide you want someone else in this list. Another group that is deep is also the tight end position. So wide receiver, tight end, and running back, deep positions. Kamari Morales comes back after a solid season with 29 catches, 358 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He will also compete for catches again with not only the wide receivers, but you're looking at another tight end who we'll talk about in a little bit. 4 catches and 4 touches in 2023. There's simply just not enough for everybody to. So it's really going to come down to efficiency. How efficient can some certain players be with the football? Because touches are going to be coming at a premium. So finding a way to get open and finding ways to be consistent for Drake May will be the biggest thing, the determining factor of whether you get the football or not. Running back is a little bit different because it's just a matter of if your number gets called and if you're on the field. Elijah Green is another player to keep an eye on, 558 yards and 8 touchdowns, probably the leading player in this running back group. But again, there's so much talent that you can't have any off days. You cannot take a step back because there are 3 or 4 other guys that are right behind you that will take your job. Elijah Green is really fun to watch, another big time playmaker for this offense. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. The part that's probably going to be the most concerning for this team, especially what after we saw last year, is the defense. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have talent. That means that they have to take steps forward. They have to find ways to improve because this offense will score a bunch of points. But if they can't keep anybody off the scoreboard, it won't matter. You can win games in a shootout all you want, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. Power Eccles comes back, and he was a surprise for, I think, a lot of people last year. I think if you didn't pay attention to North Carolina, Power Eccles probably wasn't on your radar. But 103 tackles later, 5 tackles for loss, you saw what he could do. He is a playmaker at linebacker for this team. This front seven returns quite a bit of experience. So there's no reason why they shouldn't be a solid group. It's just a matter of being consistent and being disruptive. This team finished 120th in the country in sacks and 126 in tackles for loss produced. So that needs to change. Finding a way to be disruptive will be a big key. And they have the guys do that. A player that I really like, assuming that he's going to be healthy, is Kamon Rucker. I believe that he can be disruptive on the edge. I believe that he is one of the more underrated players in college football at his position. And if he takes a step forward, now we're going to see a group that could be much better. Again, getting to the quarterback will help quite a bit, especially for a secondary. that has concerns as well. Again, the defense is really the only thing that needs to take a step forward. Obviously, you're going through a coaching change offensively, but guys like Rucker and Eccles, if they are able to help this group take even the slightest step forward, North Carolina enters a new realm of possibilities in terms of what they can do in the ACC. And again, the offense is going to do its part. The offense will be the focal point for a lot of people, especially the opposing teams that they face. And a big reason is the depth that we mentioned before. Bryson Nesbitt comes back at tight end and will also compete for catches. 35 catches last year, 507 yards, 4 touchdowns. So there's a lot of guys that are in that 300 to 600 yard range that will compete for starting time, that will compete for time on the field, that will compete for catches, touches, you name it. There's only so many plays they can run, which means that there's only so many times they can touch the football. Efficiency will be a key. Efficiency will be the determining factor as to whether you continue getting the ball or whether you continue to be on the field. And the offense, like I said, will continue to be explosive, will continue to do what it needs to do. And the defense needs to do its job as well. The front seven to me is the strength of this team is for in terms of defensively. The offense obviously is the strength, but Cedric Ray is another fun playmaker to watch. 145 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, which is good. You like to see the 145 tackles go down. I think that you can find this defensive line taking a step forward, and that will reduce his production. But that means that the front group is doing its job. And you have a proven playmaker behind them, but you'd like to see him make less plays because you know that he's not mopping things up. He is not making up for any mistakes that were made up front because this front group is doing its job. But again, if this defense is better, the offense becomes even more fun to watch. JJ Jones is back. And with Josh Downs gone, somebody again has to take that go-to guy for Drake May. Somebody has to be that go-to receiver. And JJ Jones could be that guy. Only 24 catches last year, but he averaged 18.1 yards per catch on those catches. So he is someone who is, we talked about efficiency, that is efficient. Finding ways to move the ball down the field as many yards as you can is the biggest way to get in the good graces of the coaching staff. Now, obviously, again, we have a new coach, a new offensive coordinator coming in, so we don't know what this will look like. We don't know what this group will be. We don't know who that staff will favor, what they're looking to do. But JJ Jones has proven that he can be an elite weapon downfield. He can take the top off the defense, and that will be huge, especially if you're looking at Drake May to take a step forward and be that QB1 of college football at 6'4", 230 pounds. The one thing that really surprised me was Drake May's running ability. I did not expect him to run as well as he did, but he was still really fun to watch as a passer too. Over 4,300 yards, 38 touchdowns in his first season of it as a starter, and it'll be fun to see what he can do because again, there's a ton of talent around him. There's no excuse for why he can't be better, for why this offense can't be better. Even with a new staff, you're looking at a quarterback who's extremely talented, the ball placement, the arm talent, you name it. Drake May is really fun to watch. And that's what makes North Carolina really exciting in 2023. You have an offense that will be explosive once again. The offensive line will probably be the question mark for this offense. You look at what they did they gave up 40 sacks. That's not going to get the job done. You have to find ways to keep your quarterback upright because again, there's so much talent on the offensive side of the ball. If you're even able to take a minor step forward, just like the defense, then North Carolina is in a new realm of possibility. You can take even a small step and give Drake May so many more things that he can utilize, so many more weapons he can utilize, so many more playmakers that he can find downfield. Whether or not they do that, though, is probably the biggest question. But North Carolina, with Mac Brown, with the offense they have returning and the talent they have defensively, should be a better group in 2023. And that's saying something after a 9-5 season. Whether or not that means they can close the gap on the Clemsons and the Florida State, I don't know. But I know that the potential is there to make that happen.